Power and
will
light
provide
executives.
estimated times of restoration as quickly as possible, and we'll do it on a large scale to start with, and then we'll start doing it at a county level and a sub-county level, and we'll be providing those on regular briefings as well as on our website and through our Power Tracker tool. Again, safety is our biggest concern as well. This is a business that will kill you if you don't do it properly. And as much as I want to get everybody up as quickly as possible, I don't want to have a call that unfortunately I've had before with families where somebody's not coming home. So we're going to be focused on safety, and I'd like everybody who's listening to this to also focus on their own personal safety. Unfortunately, we have seen this repeatedly, that many accidents, most actually, occur after the storm passes. Intersections that don't have power, that's a four-way stop. Everybody needs to come to a four-way stop and be patient and look and be careful, because going through an intersection as if it's a green light will get you killed. And we see this every single storm, so please pay attention. High water, there's been a lot of flooding. Do not wade through high water. There's always the possibility that an electric line could be energized and in it. There's also all kind of debris you can't see, and there's hidden dangers. So please stay out of high water. Be careful around down power lines. Assume that every power line is energized and do not touch it. Call us, report it, we will handle it. Do not touch it. If you're trying to remove debris from your house, particularly tree limbs and being up on a ladder, be careful. Not just from being up on the ladder, by the way, but also on any power lines that may be in the area. And we're still getting feeder bands through. You know, these gusts of winds can be 40, 50 miles an hour, and they can blow you off of a ladder. We've seen that happen before, too. So be cautious, be conservative. A few minutes is not going to make any difference in your life. But, you know, it's a dangerous time out there right now, and I just ask you to be very careful. A moment about generators, too. We're a state that has been through a number of storms, so many of you have portable generators. That's great, but be sure that you pay attention to how to operate those. Follow the instructions, please. Do not operate them in your garage. Do not operate them around an open window. Every year, unfortunately, we also see where people are injured or worse, killed because of the fumes. So please be careful. And storing gasoline in your garage is never a good idea, and in your home is absolutely not a good idea. So don't do that either, and be careful around it. Again, we're going to do our best to keep you informed on a real-time basis through our website, through our app, and then we'll have regular briefings as well. So you can get as much information as possible so you can make an informed decision as when is the best time for you to return to your home and your business. Our goal is to get you back restored as quickly as possible, but we need to do it safely as well. So I'd also ask you to please heed the warnings and the guidance from your local elected officials, from the state officials, from law enforcement. We have first responders that are out there working, and they have been throughout the night. They're on the roads too, and when you're driving, you put them in jeopardy. Frankly, I would ask you to stay off the roads today if you possibly can. We're moving a lot of equipment. First responders are out there. I know everybody's curious. I know everybody wants to see the damage, but it is much safer for you to stay off the roads and see it from your TV, or if you need to, step outside your house and look there, but don't go out and drive if you can help it. Because it's just a dangerous time. So again, I thank all of you for your patience, your understanding. We're going to work 24/7. Every single man and woman at Florida Power and Light, and all of the many who have come in from across the country to get the power back on, are not going to quit until the job is done. And I thank you for your patience. Happy to answer any questions.
Eric, what's the status on the St. Lucie nuclear power plant?
So St. Lucie and Turkey Point are safe and they're secure. We are in the process now of doing final checks on a few of them. We'll be bringing those up. We don't have any capacity issues from a standpoint of being able to provide power. Our fossil generation assets fared well during the storm. We did have to shut down a few of those during the storm. Riviera Beach is an example. which is at the port of Palm Beach, had a huge influx of debris and grass through the water, through the intake. So as a precautionary measure, we closed it. We now have dive teams in to clear the intakes. They actually were on the screens that protect the intakes. So we'll have to clear those. We'll have that plant up and running in the next 24 hours. But fortunately, we have a diverse number of power generation facilities across the state, and we have plenty of capacity for the loads that are there now.
Where is the worst damage? Is it on the southwest coast or?
From what we've seen so far, the answer is yes, but I will say that we don't know for sure. First off, Irma hasn't left, and feeder bands can spin off tornadoes, and there was a lot of storm surge also in the northern part of the state. St. Augustine, unfortunately, 2 years in a row now had a storm surge that inundated downtown. We actually proactively shut down a substation there when our flood warning system went off. We're in the process. We did that in Daytona as well because of the storm surge. That station is back up and running now. Frankly, those flood monitors saved probably 3 or 4 days worth of work at those substations, and of course millions of dollars worth of equipment that would have been destroyed and had to be replaced rather than just re-energized. Southwest Florida took the brunt of the storm. The eye wall went right on Marco Island up through Naples, right up through parts of Fort Myers, Arcadia, and then right up the western part of the state. We're still assessing the damage in those areas, and tornadoes there were numerous, and until we really understand what the structural damage is caused by tornadoes, we're not going to have a good sense of it. But generally speaking, I'd say southwest Florida. But I'll tell you, the flooding in Miami, downtown Fort Lauderdale was significant, as well as the amount of debris. This is a storm that probably has produced more debris than we've ever seen in the history of any storm. It's been 10 years since we had a major hurricane hit Florida. Major hurricanes are Mother Nature's way of cleaning out a lot of vegetation. And we haven't had that. So we've had 10 years of growth that got pruned yesterday from Hurricane Irma. And a lot of that, unfortunately, ended up in our power lines and our substations, even in the case of Riviera Beach, in the intake structures of our generation plants.
When do you hope to get South Florida restored to power, at least the least damaged parts? I know Miami, you've got some problems,
Yep.
but can you provide any closer restoration times? When can people go on, and the app doesn't seem to be working, but go on FPL.com and find out you'll be restored in 2 days or whatever?
Yeah, again, I don't know the answer to the question. We are out there right now. We've already restored over 1 million people. So I'll tell you that's a start, and we're going to continue to do so until we have a better assessment of what the damage is. We won't have a better idea of exactly when people will be able to return to their homes and businesses and have power.
Restored 1 million people since
Since the storm.
Since the storm
Right.
started?
Yeah, remember, the storm is still in the state of Florida, and we've had feeder bands that came through even this morning down in Palm Beach County. So, we're continuing to see gusts of wind, like at our power generation facilities just 2 hours ago, that restrict actually some movement around those. So we're still feeling the impacts of the storm.
When can people expect to go and get any kind of answer, though, on FPL.com about their individual house or business? Is there
individual house or business? It's going to be days.
It's going to be
days. We're going to give system-wide type of estimations here. We're going to try to do that in the next 24 hours. And then we'll go and give more granular information as soon as it's available. What I don't want to do is give erroneous information. I want people to be able to make informed decisions so they can do what's best for them and their families and their businesses as well. Our goal is to get everybody up as quickly as possible. So I'd like to be wrong and get people up even faster, but until we actually have a better sense of what kind of damage and destruction has taken place, I can't tell you. I can tell you this right now. We have crews out patrolling all parts of our state. We have helicopters flying the transmission lines, many of which are inaccessible. They go across the Everglades as an example. We have drones that are up and doing damage assessment as well. And all that is coming back to here. As well, it's going back to our engineering center in Juno Beach. We've reopened the office there. We've reopened all of our facilities in South Florida. They're staffed, and we're going to get the data and process it as quickly as we can.
You said 4 point.
People could be out of power for weeks. You need to understand that, particularly if there's structural damage, it absolutely could be weeks if we have to rebuild parts of the system.
You said 4.4 million customers without power now, or is
No.
that less than 1 million?
That's less than really a couple 100,000 when you look at it, because we've had 4.4 million that were impacted by the storm, but many of those customers lost power and then were restored and then lost power again. So about 5 million outages is what we've had, and we've restored about 1 million of the outages. But I will tell you this, it's not over. We still have customers in North Florida that are losing power because of the storm. They are tropical storm force winds with hurricane gusts that have still been occurring. So the numbers are going to move because while we restore in the south, we're still losing customers in other parts of the state.
When it comes to assets from out of state, do you put out a request for those, or do those utilities volunteer to send people? How does it work?
We have a system in place and an arrangement, so there's a regularly scheduled call that we do where utilities from around the country actually tell us what assets are available, and we actually say what are the assets we need along with other utilities. Remember, as much as it feels like this is all just about us, there are many millions of Floridians that are not served by FPL that are also out of power from other companies like Tampa Electric, Duke, Florida, the city of Tallahassee, the city of Gainesville. Jacksonville was very, very heavily impacted as an example. So everybody who's been impacted, even Georgia right now, has significant weather that's occurring in the state of Georgia, parts of Alabama. The storm is going into Tennessee, and all of those utilities are going to be requesting or have already requested resources. And so we let everybody know what we would like to have, so does everybody else, and then you try to match that up with what's available. Remember, it was just a few weeks ago that Hurricane Harvey hit Texas. And those poor people are still suffering also. And there have been many, many utility crews that responded from across the country to Harvey, to Texas, to restore power. We've actually had a number of those crews who have driven from Texas over to help.